الحمد لله رب العالمين والحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على إمام القبلتين ونبي الحرمين وأفضل الثقلين وجد الحسن والحسين الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الصادقين والذين ذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على صاحب الدعوة النبوية والصولة الحيدرية والعصمة الفاطمية والحلم الحسنية والشجاعة الحسينية والعبادة السجادية والمآثر الباقرية والآثار الجعفرية والعلوم الكاذمية والحجج الرذوية والجود الثقبية والنقابة النقبية والحيبة الأسكرية والغيبة الإلهية. اللهم عجل فرجه وسهل مخرجه. أما بعد، فقد قال الإمام جعفر بن محمد الصادق: سلام الله والسلام ملائكته المقربين وأنبيائه المرسلين وعباده الصالحين وجميع الشهداء والصديقين والزاكيات الطيبات فيما تقتدي وتروي يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. صدق مولانا الإمام جعفر الصادق. اللهم صل على For the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the love of al-Fadhl Abbas in particular, a second salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the hastening of the reappearance of the master of our time, a louder salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Imam al-Hussein very famously says about his companions, فَإِنِّي لَا أَعْلَمُ أَصْحَابًا أَوْفَى وَلَا خَيْرًا مِنْ أَصْحَابِي. That I don't know any companions who are more loyal and better than my companions. At another place on the night before Ashura, Sayyid al-Shuhada says, I was given companions the likes of which my grandfather wasn't given, my father wasn't given, and my brother wasn't given. You see, these are those companions who paid the ultimate price for Sayyid al-Shuhada. They knew about their fate on the day of Ashura. If you knew the day you would die, even if that day was 20 years from now, you'd live in anxiety about that day. But these are those individuals, they knew about Ashura and they paid the ultimate sacrifice for Sayyid al-Shuhada. If you want to understand the fadilat of these companions, their virtue is the fact that because they preceded Imam al-Hussein, Sayyid al-Shuhada was able to breathe longer upon this world. That the world didn't become devoid of the final member of Ashabul Kisa who was underneath the cloak because of these companions. Each of them has their story, and each of them made their effort. I gave you the example of that 90-year-old companion who could barely stand up, but he didn't want to be devoid of supporting Sayyid al-Shuhada. So what did Sa'id bin Jubair do? He stood in front of the Imam as he's praying Salatul Dhuhr, and as arrow after arrow is being fired towards Sayyid al-Shuhada, he stands in front and he takes arrow after arrow into his body. You know, people ask the question that how is it the Battle of Karbala was only a few hours, but you have so much musibah and masayib? That how is it possible that 10 nights of masayib, the day of Ashura masayib, Sham-e Ghariba masayib, this battle was only a few hours long. But I say that any event, you don't look at objectively in terms of quantitative time. Even though Karbala was a few hours, it was a few hours from the perspective of Ali Akbar. But at that same time, Layla would be watching. We have the perspective of Layla. We have the perspective of Sayyid al-Shuhada and each of these companions. In that way, Karbala was an experience for each of them. And when you look at all of these companions, Sayyid al-Shuhada says that I don't know any companions awfa, more loyal than my companions. But amongst all of these different companions, there is only one shaheed that when you recite his ziyarah, you say, Ashhadu laka bit taslim wa tasdeeq wal wafa wal nasiyah. That I testify that you submitted and you conformed and you displayed loyalty and you displayed sincerity. And that is none other than al-Fadhl Abbas. You see, who is al-Fadhl Abbas? I know each of you in this hall has a special bond and a connection with al-Fadhl Abbas. I see it within your eyes the moment the name of Abbas is taken. That on this night of the 8th of Muharram, many of you come, that you have du'as and you wait until this night for those du'as to be accepted. One of the secret behind du'as being accepted on this night is that you've come with yaqeen and certainty to the door of al-Fadhl Abbas. It's that yaqeen which is the power behind these du'as. You know, there was a talaba, a student. He spent 40 days going to the shrine of al-Fadhl Abbas. He would ask his hajat and his needs for 40 days. And he would see that other individuals, they weren't students of the religion, but their du'as were accepted. So you know what he does after 40 days? He says, "Oh Abbas, I am going to the shrine of your father Ali bin Abi Talib, and I'm going to complain at the shrine of your father that my du'as weren't accepted over here." You see, that man, when he leaves from Karbala to go to Najaf, at that point in Najaf was the famous scholar Murtada Ansari. Murtada Ansari sends a letter to the teacher of that man. Nobody told Murtada Ansari what he said. And he says, "Tell that man to come to me." When he goes to Murtada Ansari says, "Oh man, you wanted to get married? I'll arrange for your marriage. And you wanted a house? I'll pay for your house. And you had debts? I'll pay for your debts. But don't go to the haram of Amir al-Mu'mineen and complain about al-Fadhl Abbas at the haram of Amir al-Mu'mineen." This is al-Fadhl Abbas. Even when you go to Karbala, you recognize there's something unique about al-Fadhl Abbas. When every companion is buried in one spot, in that spot of the Shuhada, you find it is only Abbas who has his own shrine across from the shrine of Sayyid al-Shuhada. And oftentimes when you stand there, you're left mesmerized that do you go to Abbas first or you go to Sayyid al-Shuhada first? But at that point, ulama, they say that you go to the haram of Abbas. And you know what you say when you go to the Haram of Abbas? You say, Ya kashif al-karb an wajh al-Hussein, ikshif al-karb anni wa an hadih al-ummah. That, oh, the one who removed difficulties and calamities from the face of Abu Abdullah. Remove calamities away from me and from this ummah. You know, there's something very interesting about the shrine of al-Fadhl Abbas and the shrine of Sayyid al-Shuhada. If you look at the distance between these two shrines, the exact distance between those two mountains, you find between those mountains of Safa and Marwa is the exact distance between the shrine of Abbas and Sayyid al-Shuhada. Safa and Marwa is that spot that when a mother's son was thirsty, that mother Hajra, 7 times she would go in between Safa and Marwa. I say one question, how many times must Fatima to Zahra go from the shrine of her son Hussein to the shrine of Abbas? You see, what am I to say to make you understand about Fadhl Abbas? Our own knowledge, the Quran, when it speaks about our knowledge, it says, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. That we haven't given you except a little amount of knowledge. But if you want to understand about Fadhl Abbas, you go to those individuals who are ar-rasikhuna fil ilm. Those individuals who are grounded in knowledge. And you say to them, we don't understand your Uncle Abbas, explain to us who your Uncle Abbas was. It's only through the nusus and the hadith. And it's only through the ziyarat that you'll begin to understand who Abu Fadhl Abbas is. And tonight I'll look at some of those lines from the Ziyarah of Abbas. You know, tonight I know you've come to cry over the son of Baneen. Every heart on this night only wants to listen to Masa'ib. And every reciter only wants to recite Masa'ib. But when that moment of Masa'ib comes, the more understanding of Abbas you have, the more tears will fall from your eyes. You know, who is Abbas? In one ziyarah of Imam al-Zaman, that famous ziyarah known as Ziyarah al-Nahiya, Imam al-Zaman, after he recites the Masa'ib of his grandfather, after he says every morning, every evening, I cry tears of blood for my grandfather Hussein. After he says, As-salamu alal juyub al-mudarrajat. That salam be upon the blood-covered chest of Hussein and upon the thirsty lips of Hussein. Within this ziyarah, Imam al-Zaman sends his salam upon his uncle Abbas. And you know what the Imam says? He says, As-salamu ala al-Fadhl Abbas ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen al-Muwasi akhahu bin nafsihi wal-akhid li ghadihi min amsihi. The first thing that the Imam says about Abu Fadhl Abbas, he says, Salam be upon Abbas, the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the one who gave even his own self for his brother Hussein. You see, you think that why is it that we're just drawn by the personality of Abbas? That those youth, they may have no connection with the religion, but when it comes to the matam of Abbas or the alam of Abbas, you see them at the forefront. That what is it that Abbas did that draws the people to Abu Fadhl Abbas? You find at the first level, he sacrificed his entire being for Sayyid al-Shuhada. That every one of the writers of the Maqatil, they say, that when Abbas reaches the Furat on that day, Abbas doesn't drink from the water. If Abu Fadhl Abbas drank from the water on that day, could anyone have blamed Abu Fadhl Abbas? No one could have blamed him. But he doesn't drink from that water, but instead he says, Ya nafsu min ba'd al-Husayn huni, wa ba'dahu la kunti an takuni, hada al-Husayn waridul manuni, wa tashrabina barid al-ma'ini. You know what Abbas says? al-Fadhl Abbas says that after this day, that after Hussein, O soul, may you be nothing. Without Hussein, never were you, nor will you be. Hussein is approaching death, and you want to drink this water? You see, this is al-Fadhl Abbas. Somewhere within the nature of a human being thinks about himself. And a human being looks to take pain away from themselves, and this is something natural. But there are certain individuals, they annihilated themselves in the ishq of Ahlul Bayt to such a point that every pain they felt was only the pain of their master, and this was Abbas the Sayyid al-Shuhada. You know, the Quran describes those people who reached a stage where they preferred others to themselves. If we're going to learn from Abbas, the first quality of Abbas that we need to learn from is that al-Fadhl Abbas preferred others to himself, and number two, he preferred Ahlul Bayt over everything else. You know, the Quran describing those individuals who preferred others, it says, وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. That there were individuals, they sacrificed themselves for others even though they may have been in need. You know why this verse was revealed? This verse was revealed that on the day of Uhud, there were individuals who were wounded on the ground, and there was only one bag of water. When they go to the first wounded individual, he says, no, give it to the person next to me. And when they go to the second, he says, give it to the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh individuals. When they reach the seventh person, he says, I don't want this water, go and give it to that first man. By the time the person goes to give water, the first person dies, the second, the third, all seven of them die. At that moment, the verse comes on Rasulullah. Oh Rasulullah, there are those individuals, they prefer others to themselves. But I say there is a difference between those seven and al-Fadhl Abbas. Those seven, there was a limited amount of water on that day, and they were trying to save that water. Abbas by the Furat, if he had drank, the Furat wasn't running out of water. But even then, al-Fadhl Abbas, he thinks of Sayyid al-Shuhada. This is that first quality of al-Fadhl Abbas. And after all, the mother of Abbas is the one who taught him this. That the mother of Abbas said, oh Abbas, never say Akhi towards your brother. Always say Sayyidi wa Mawlai, that this is my master Hussein. That you know when Amir al-Mu'mineen, he goes to Aqil, he says, oh Aqil, I want a son who will be Ghulamun Faris, that will be a brave fighter, O Aqil. And O Aqil, tell me of a lady who comes from a family of warriors. But you know when Amir al-Mu'mineen said warrior, this didn't mean anyone who goes and fights and does whatever he wants, because amongst the Arabs there were many who would go and fight without any rules oppressing others. But Amir al-Mu'mineen wanted a lady who was honorable. And what can I say about how honorable al-Baneen is, that after the marriage to Amir al-Mu'mineen, she goes and sits at the doorstep of Ali bin Abi Talib. Sayyida Zainab, Kulthum, they say that why don't you enter the house? Baneen says, how can I enter that house where your mother Fatima al-Zahra used to be in that house? And Baneen would watch that, you know, her real name was Fatima bint Hizam al-Kilabiyah. the moment Amir al-Mu'mineen would call her Fatima, you find that Ali would begin to cry. al-Baneen would think about the tears of Ali bin Abi Talib. She would say, "Oh Ali, don't call me by this name Fatima. Because every time you say Fatima, it's as if you remember something, oh Ali. It's as if Amir al-Mu'mineen would remember that burning door in Medina. She would say, "Oh Ali, call me al-Baneen, oh Ali." So you see, this is that Abbas. From his very young age, his mother would say, "Oh Abbas, that you prefer Hassan and Hussein to yourself." And when Imam al-Zaman sends his salam, he says, "Al-Mawasi akhahu binafsihi," that Abbas preferred his brother to himself. But the second quality of Abbas, which Imam al-Zaman says about his uncle Abbas, he says, "Al-akhid li ghadihi min amsihi," that Abbas, you are the one that for your tomorrow, you would take from your yesterday. The second quality that we learn from the Ziyarah of al-Fadhl Abbas is al-Fadhl Abbas was an individual whose vision was beyond the present moment. You know, many of the traditions that speak about this dunya, and I know many speakers, they come that the dunya is evil and that is the nature of this world. What these traditions actually refer to is that attaching yourself to this dunya is problematic. Because when you attach yourself to material things, it's only causing you hardship. At the end of the day, what we do, Allah has nothing to gain or lose from our action. But He wants what is best for us. But in reality, this dunya is where the hereafter is gained. This dunya is that place where al-Fadhl Abbas would take from this dunya and he would acquire his status in paradise. And you know what status in paradise al-Fadhl Abbas acquires? It's stated when the son of al-Fadhl Abbas, Ubaydullah ibn Abbas ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen, comes to Imam Zainul Abidin. Imam Zainul Abidin stands up for the son of Abbas and he begins to cry. You know, when the Imam is standing up for the son of Abbas, and with all due respect to the son of al-Fadhl Abbas, the reason he's standing up for him is because of the respect they have for al-Fadhl Abbas. And when Imam Zainul Abidin, he speaks, he says, "Rahimallahu al-Abbasa," that may Allah have mercy upon Abbas. He is the one who sacrificed himself for his brother Hussein. And he gave his arms, and in return, Allah gave him wings in paradise like Ja'far al-Tayyar was given. And then he says, "Inna lil Abbasi inda Allah tabarak wa ta'ala manzilatan yaghbituhu biha jami'u shuhada," that each of the martyrs, when they see the status of Abbas in paradise, they'll desire the status of al-Fadhl Abbas. A shaheed is that person that before his blood falls on the ground, all of his sins are forgiven. All of those individuals would envy the status of al-Fadhl Abbas. And that Abbas attained that status that he would take from this world for his hereafter. He was a person who had insight and understood the nature of this world. Imam al-Sadiq would say, "Inna amman al-Abbas nafidul basira." Our uncle Abbas is the one who had piercing insight. You see, these are those two qualities of Abbas from the Ziyarah of Imam al-Zaman. But now we come to the Ziyarah of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam al-Sadiq in Kamilu Ziyarat, the narrator is Abu Hamza al-Tumali. Imam al-Sadiq says that when you go to the grave of our uncle by the Furat, address our uncle in this manner. And you know what you say in that ziyarah? The first thing after saying Assalamu alayka yabna Amir al-Mu'mineen, you say Salamullahi. Allah Akbar. That Abbas, the salam of Allah is upon you. Not my salam. Not the salam of the malaika. The first salam on al-Fadhl Abbas is the salam of Allah. You know, in the Quran, Allah only sends a salam on an exclusive group of people. It says, Salamun ala Nuhin fil alameen. That salam be upon Nuh within this world. Salamun ala Ibrahim. May salam be upon Ibrahim. Salamun ala Musa wa Harun. May salam be upon Musa and Harun. And then Allah, when a person enters paradise, only to Ahlul Jannah, the moment they enter paradise, we read in Surah Yasin, Salamun qawlan min Rabbir Rahim. That those of paradise, they receive the salam of Allah. You see, what is the reality of salam? One of the titles of Allah is salam. That this word symbolizes purity. The one who doesn't have defects, the one who doesn't have shortcomings, is a person who has a state of salam and peace. And the Quran says that that ideal which you should aspire to is to have a heart with salam and peace. That everyone on the day of judgment will cry, إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. The one who approaches Allah with that heart. Now over here, Allah is saying Salam Allah, that the salam of Allah is upon al-Fadhl Abbas. You see, from this we see that the prophets received the salam of Allah. The people of paradise received the salam of Allah. The A'imma received the salam of Allah. Don't you read in Hadithul Kisa that Al-Aliyul A'la yukri'uka salam, that Jibreel says that Allah the Most High sends a salam towards you, Ahlul Bayt. But in the same way that Allah sends His salam upon all of these groups, that He sends His salams upon al-Fadhl Abbas. You know, the people of paradise will only reach that salam when they reach paradise. But Abbas, the moment he sacrificed himself for Sayyid al-Shuhada, you find from that moment the salam of Allah comes. Then after that we say, وَالسَّلَامُ مَلَائِكَتَهِ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ. That the closest angels of Allah send their salams upon you, O Abbas. Not just any regular angel, but Jibreel and Mikael and Israfil. Those angels who understood the realities of the heavens better than anyone else send their salam towards Abbas. You see, the angels, they didn't understand every reality. They had limitations. Wasn't it the case that on the night of Mi'raj, when Rasulullah is ascending the realities, Jibreel says, "O Rasulullah, now we've reached that point of Kaaba Qawsayn o Adna. Now we've reached that point. If I go any farther, even these wings of mine will burn." Now what that means is its own discussion. But this goes to show that out of all of the malaika, Jibreel and those close angels, Muqarrabun, are the ones who understood reality better than anyone else. And when they understood reality better than anyone else, what did they do? They send their salam upon al-Fadhl Abbas. After that we say that, O Abbas, wa anbiya'ihil mursaleen. After that the prophets send their salam upon you. Those anbiya whose every movement was for the hidayah of mankind and the guidance of mankind and for the deen of Allah. When they send their salam on Abbas, this is that recognition that Abbas is that individual who supported the deen of Allah. After that we say, what ibadihi salihin, that if there is anyone who is righteous and worshipping Allah, they send their salam upon Abbas. What jamia shuhadai was siddiqeen, each of the martyrs and the truthful send their salam. Then after that we say, was zakiyatu tayyibat فيما تغتدي وترو عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. This salam isn't just the salam which comes and it leaves. It's perpetually coming towards you, O al-Fadhl Abbas. You see, the words within the ziyarah are words which amaze the mind. After that, we say in one of the lines within the ziyarah, أشهد أنك قد أشهد أنك, that you, O Abbas, قد بالغت في النسية وآتيت غاية المجهود. You may ask this question, that how is it that Abbas reached the status where the salam of Allah is there? The salam of the malaika are there. The ziyarah answers the question. The ziyarah says, Abbas is that individual who reached the depths of sincerity and who asserted the maximum effort, ghayat al-majhood. You see, there are people with talent. But what trumps talent is that effort a person carries out. There are many people, we respect them because of their effort. Over here, Ahlul Bayt say that if there is anyone who exerted the maximum effort in the haqq of Ahlul Bayt, it was al-Fadhl Abbas. That you see, I mentioned on the second night, one of the philosophies of ziyarah is that when you read the qualities of these individuals within the ziyarah, you aspire towards that quality. And one practical lesson we take from this ziyarah is the moment we feel laziness within our life, the moment we feel unmotivated, and those days they come, you read the ziyarah of Abbas and you take inspiration from the one atayta ghayat al-majhood, that you are the one who exerted the maximum effort. And what was that effort of Abbas? You know, it's stated on the day of Siffin. When Amir al-Mu'mineen comes on the day of Siffin, there's a narrator who says, I was watching Ali bin Abi Talib come on the day of Siffin. And I said to a person from the army of Ali, that who are those two individuals whose face is gleaming next to Ali bin Abi Talib? That man said, those are Hassan and Hussein. Then I said, who is that young man behind Ali bin Abi Talib? The man says, that is Muhammad al-Hanafiya. But then the narrator says, who is that man whose face is like a moon, that young individual? The narrator says that is al-Fadhl Abbas. You know, on the day of Siffin, when al-Fadhl Abbas comes, and this is the last line, I'm coming towards Masaib, I see it within your eyes. You know, when al-Fadhl Abbas, he comes on the day of Siffin, right? Everyone thought it was Amir al-Mu'mineen who was fighting. Because al-Fadhl Abbas had his face covered. They begin to say, oh Ali, why don't you come farther? And as they're saying this, Amir al-Mu'mineen walks out from the middle of the army. And they begin to be confused that who is this man if that is Ali bin Abi Talib? When they ask al-Fadhl Abbas, he looks towards his father. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, oh Abbas, let them ask again. The second time, upon the third time, al-Fadhl Abbas, he removes that veil. He says, Ana qamaru bani Hashim. That I am the moon of Banu Hashim. You know what that man says? That man says, I thought there were already two moons in the army of Ali, Hassan and Hussein. And if you want to understand the ma'rifat of Abbas, Abbas says, they are the sons of Rasulullah, I am the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen. They are the eyes, I am the hands. And it is the job of the hands to protect the eyes. al-Fadhl Abbas says, it is the job of the hands to protect the eyes. I say, oh Abbas, the hands can only protect the eyes if they haven't been cut from both sides, oh Abbas. You know, what are those arms of Abbas? Those arms are Abbas, or those arms that when Abbas was born, you know, Amir al-Mu'mineen had a tradition. He would kiss the forehead of each of his children. When Imam al-Hassan is born, he kisses the forehead of Imam al-Hassan. And when Sayyid al-Shuhada is born, he kisses the forehead of Sayyid al-Shuhada. But when Abu Fadl was born, you find Amir al-Mu'mineen kisses the right and the left arm of Abu Fadhl Abbas. At that point, al-Baneen begins to cry. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, why do you cry? al-Baneen says, oh my master, you would kiss the forehead of each of your children. Why is it when it came to Abbas, you kissed the arm of Abbas? Is it because Abbas is the son of a slave, al-Baneen? At that point, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, oh al-Baneen, that's not the case. But it's that these arms will be cut for Hussein, oh al-Baneen. You know, before I come to the Masayib of Ashura, the mother of Abbas wasn't in Karbala. The mother of Abbas didn't know what happened to her son. You know when al-Baneen found out about Abu Fadhl Abbas? When the caravan, it returns to Medina, and Imam Zainul Abidin says, oh Bashir, do you recite poetry? Bashir went around Medina and he was saying, Ala ya ahla Yathrib, la muqama lakum biha, qutil al-Husayn fa'admuhi midraru. That, oh people of Yathrib, Hussein has been killed. The moment that sound goes to al-Baneen, al-Baneen takes the son of Abbas Fadl, she grabs a stick, she begins to go towards Bashir. She says, oh Bashir, which Hussein has been killed? Bashir says, the son of Ali Hussein, the son of Fatima Hussein. al-Baneen says, oh Bashir, how is it that my Abbas was there and Hussein was killed? Bashir says, oh Bibi, Abbas was killed first, then Hussein was killed. al-Baneen says, oh Bashir, my son was a warrior. How did they kill my Abbas? Bashir says, oh al-Baneen, they struck Abbas with a sword upon his head. al-Baneen says, oh Bashir, how is it that Abbas couldn't stop just a sword? Bashir says, oh Bibi, they cut the arms of Abbas. At that point, oh al-Baneen, she says, oh Bashir, tell me one thing. Whenever anyone falls, they use their arms to break the fall. My Abbas, he didn't have any arms. Was it the chest of Abbas? Or was it the face of Abbas which hit the plains of Karbala? The day of Ashura, it came. The day of Ashura came. Akbar is gone. Qasim is gone. On and Muhammad went towards the Maqtal. One uncle would watch as those children which he raised would go towards the Maqtal. Abu Fadhl Abbas, he would go towards Amir al-Mu'mineen. The Maqtal, it says, فَاسْتَعْذَنَ الْأَبَّاسُ أَخَاءَ الْحُسَيْنِ, that Abbas asked permission from his brother to go and fight. It's stated in the Maqtal. At that moment, the Imam says, oh Abbas, anta sahibu liwai, O Abbas. Oh Abbas, you are the alamdar, O Abbas. Oh Abbas, you carry the flag of my army. You know what the Maqtal says at this point? It says, فَنَّظَرَ إِلَى يَمِينِ وَالشِّمَالِ. Abbas looks to the right. Abbas looks to the left. He says, oh my master, which army is left? There is no one who is left. Abbas, after that, he says, وَيُضَيِّقُ صَدْرِي. Oh my master, my chest can't handle this at that moment. You find Sayyid al-Shuhada doesn't give permission to Abbas. You know what happens next? After that, when Abbas, he returns towards the tent, when he returns to the tent, he hears the cries of those children saying, Wa Tasha, Wa atasha, that the thirst. You find Abu Fadl says that, oh my master, if you're not giving me permission to fight, at least let me bring water from the Furat. Sayyid al-Shuhada gives permission to Abu Fadl Abbas. Abbas, he goes towards the Furat. He fills the water bag. He places the water bag upon the flag. On one hand is the alam. He begins to come back towards the tent. You know, as Abbas is cutting towards the tent, that moment it comes that they cut the right arm of Abu Fadl Abbas. Many of you have gone to Karbala. You know the distance between the arms of Abbas. After that, he takes the flag to his left arm. They cut the left arm of Abbas. When they cut the left arm of Abu Fadl Abbas, the Maqatil, they say, a sword comes to the head of Abbas. As Abbas is falling off the horse, Hurmala takes his bow and his arrow. He fires one arrow, the right eye of Abu Fadl. You know, there was a reciter in Karbala. I can't recite more musibah than this. Listen to this final line and cry over Abbas. There was a reciter in Karbala. He recited the Masaib. An arrow went into the right eye of Abbas. A scholar was there. He said, oh reciter, you don't know if this Masaib is authentic. Don't recite that Masaib. You know what that alimi says? Listen to this line. He says, that night I saw Abu Fadl Abbas. He said to me, why did you stop my reciter? I said, Mola, I didn't know if the Masaib is authentic. Abu Fadl Abbas says, the Masaib is authentic. An arrow went into my eye. But whenever anything goes in your eye, your reaction is to use your hands. I didn't have my arms. I'd look to the right. I'd look to the left. Then after that, I put that arrow in between my knees. Using my knees, I pulled that arrow out. I've left the Masaib. You know, in Karbala, in the time of Sayyid Mahdi Bahar al-Ulum, they say that water had come into the shrine of Abu Fadl Abbas. They said, oh Sayyid, I have one question for you. You would always tell us that Abbas was a tall individual. Oh Sayyid, why is the grave of Abbas so small? Sayyid Bahar al-Ulum, he takes off his turban. He says, oh man, Abbas is that shaheed that not only did they cut the head and the arms of Abbas, they would break the body of Abbas. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Now is that moment where du'as are mustajab. You know, ulama, they say that when your du'as aren't answered, take the name of Abbas and put 3 wasila in front of Abbas. You know that first wasila is? Say, oh Abbas, we ask through the right of your niece Sakina, oh Abbas. The second wasila is you say, oh Abbas, we ask through the right of the hijab of your sister Zainab, oh Abbas. And that final wasiyah is that you say, oh Abbas, we ask through the thirst of your brother Hussein on the day of Ashura, oh Abbas. Then we say, oh Abu Fadl Abbas. We say, oh Allah, through the right of Abbas, wherever the followers of Ahlul Bayt are in difficulty, help them. Wherever they're sick and ailing, cure them. Wherever they have any hajat, grant towards them. Ya Allah, we pray for the hastening of the reappearance of the master of our time, Ya Hussein.
Yo,